And good evening. Welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. And by God, are we talking dogs today? We have so much to cover because over the weekend we had the BoyleSports Champion Stakes, the RPGTV Corn Cuchulainn, the BoyleSports Champion Plate, the Tipperary Cup, the Shelley Fennelly, the Treaty Cup, the Denis Linehan Solicitors Open Unraced Final. There was a small matter of the English Derby across the pond. So let's just say there's a lot to talk about, and I mean a lot to talk about. So who could we get to talk and that would do a lot of talking? Well, these two put me in the halfpenny place because we have Kevin Hennessy of BoyleSports, a man who literally came out of the womb talking, and Barry Caul, a man who will go to the grave talking. Gentlemen, a pleasure as always. Barry, I see nice and understated as always this morning.
Oh yeah, this isn't bad, short. I know when you first seen me this morning, you were, my God, what's he wearing? But this isn't bad. I was at the wardrobe this morning and I went, I'll take something a little bit less colourful out. So this is one of the more mild shorts. But yeah, I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm delighted to be on. Plenty to talk about, as you say.
Yeah, look, Kevin can't afford the heat and he's wearing a gilet indoors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Yeah, look, I suppose I'm probably a bit more refreshed than both of you. I was homebound over the weekend. I wasn't off gallivanting, so I'd say I'll be covering for you two boys today.
Refreshed is definitely the right way to put it. BC, before we move on, we have to say congratulations, new arrival. A small litter arrived there last weekend.
Yeah, literal one. Kevin says gallivanting. I certainly wasn't gallivanting. I was delighted to get to go to the dogs to commentate on Saturday night. And yeah, I must say, Linda Conroy in the tote left me with a big bunch of flowers and a big hamper and everything. So I left Shelburne Park with a bunch of flowers in hand. And I'd say people were looking, that fella must have done his brains, looking going home with flowers to the missus, that way. So thanks to Linda and Gary. So I got a lovely gift off them. But yeah, literal one, dog pup. He's home and well. So just getting the forms now ready to sign and send down to Clonmel. So exciting times ahead.
He's got the ear markings, has he?
Not yet. No, he's getting them in a couple of weeks. I got the ear marking forms nowadays, and my God, you can be anything you want to be now in these forms when you're getting the birth cert. Believe me. So I'll say no more about it.
Say no more. Gentlemen, let's kick off because we have an awful lot to get through. And as a result, there will be, races that we won't get to talk to about as much as we'd like because we are under time constraints for obvious enough reasons. Let's get into the Champion Stakes, Kevin. It's always been a wonderful competition. This year, sort of more so than most, it's ridiculously open. It looked ridiculously open from the start. I was struggling to make it favours. I think liabilities came down to it, and that's the way your firm went. In the end, we had three great winners: Trinity Junior, the other Kobe, and Scaglietti. Trinity Junior. Let's kick off proceedings with Trinity Junior. A good winner, Kevin. Often his Achilles heel is this trapping, but on Saturday night he came away racing for Tim Slevin and Peter Cronin. Once doing so, he got to the front pretty quickly. He has a lovely turn of early speed. It's all a case of getting out of traps to be able to use it, though.
Yeah, definitely. And like from a tricky enough draw out in 5, he didn't really have much room for error. But he did come away. He really came away race, and he edged inwards as we knew he would from trap 5. And once or twice in the race, like Hawkfield Blue put up a serious effort, like into the third bend. For a split second, I thought, maybe he might come under pressure. But I think that's just Trinity Junior's running style. There's been a number of races I've seen him where you're just there, you just have a feeling that he's a little bit vulnerable, but he always pulls out more. And even into the drop, into the escape, he was still that length and a half in front of Hawkfield Blue. He never got past him. He's gutsy, isn't he? He's brave, and he loves it. He loves the battle. He's doing everything right. He's, for me, got a brilliant draw in the final if he makes use of it again. But yeah, look, he was a fantastic winner, the fastest heat winner. Facing a bad draw, I felt out in 5, and he got over that obstacle. So I think he could be the one to beat in the final, and it's great to see Peter with him flying again.
Yeah, we'll get to the final in a few minutes. Barry, it was pretty much over from the early stages. Hawkfield Blue is he's a really exciting youngster. Like, he's only July, so he's only just gone 2 years of age. This was his 10th career start. He's won 5 of them. Big run in second by him, but Trinity Junior, you'd have to be pleased.
Yeah, as you said, Ian, his trapping can be his Achilles heel, but when he does get it right, he's very, very good. The form of that race, when you're just to look at the form itself, so some good dogs in behind. Romeo Magico, of course, didn't run too bad back and forth, possibly a little bit flat and undisputed. She met all sorts of trouble around the first bend. But look, it was a good heat to win by Trinity Junior. Once he traps like that, he's got great early pace, and he's that little bit stronger than he was when we seen him around Limerick last year. I think he's a little bit of a stronger dog. Again, yeah, we'll see what the draw is like in trap 1. I'm not sure he wants to be there, but the dog in trap 2, Hawkfield Blue, he's improving all the time. And any dog that can give Trinity Junior that length started as he did at the boxes, and he was right on his quarters going into the first bend. So again, he's going to be the improving one in the final. But yeah, the clock said 14:63 when they went past the line. I knew it was quick, but it wasn't quite that quick. But
the clock was acting up a little bit in
it
one or
was,
two
yeah.
races. I bumped into Jamie McGee late into the evening, shall we say, on Saturday night at Towcester, and he was more than complimentary about Hawkfield Blue. I think they really do think the world of him. He's going to have to be electric at boxing in the final. We'll get to the final in a few moments. But Trinity Junior, tremendous winner, his son-in-law Hill Blake for Peter Cronin and Tim Slevin. Just a really nice dog. He's always been very talented, of course, juvenile derby finalist. Did he get to the final of the Ledger last year? As you said, boys, he is strengthening up that bit. He was always strong enough, I think, for the 550, but it's just the first 5 strides is the issue. But 29.53 was, bang up there. Obviously, Ballymac-Walt went just a fraction faster, but it certainly stands well with him. We'll talk about the draw in a few minutes. Romeo Magico was back in third. Again, just a little bit flat in third, but ran okay. It didn't happen for the other 3. You could put this down to experience for them. Moving on to the second heat, the other Colby Barry. He was racing from trap 3. I liked the way that he came away. He didn't dive straight in, waited till he hit the room and then edged across. He's maturing. There's no question his 550-yard trips, just does sort of test him, but he ran a hell of a race to get to the front, and once doing so, probably never looked like getting picked up. BoyleSports gift came from out of the clouds. This was a dog that I have sort of more penciled in as a fast starter with early speed, and here he was coming from out of the clouds to pick up the likes of Magical Cuba and Crypto Punk. Big run from him. We might know someone that'll give us a bit more of insight into him, but for the moment, you can talk about the other Colby. Very impressive.
He was very impressive, and it's interesting you say that because he's not diving to the rails as you did mention there, because he could ruin races, couldn't he? If he was drawn in 4 and you were in 2 and 3, you may forget about it. But look, yeah, he was good again. It's a horrible trap draw in the final, but look, it was all about getting through, and he done it right, out and gone. I thought Magical Cuba had every chance going around the first bend, but just running wide. I don't remember him running that wide in previous outings. He was wide around the second bend and then very wide around the last bend. But the other Colby, look, we know what he is. He's very, very good on his day. Not always the most consistent. I doubt he'd ever go through a derby, but he always throws in that one sort of stinking start. But I must say, and not just because Kevin's on the show, but I really did think BoyleSports Gift ran a cracker. I've done a couple of podcasts leading into the English Greyhound Derby, and he was one dog that I put up at the fastest sectional market. I just seen he had some good sectionals around Limerick, and I thought he might just fly out in one of the rounds. He showed what he's all about in Towcester on 1 or 2 occasions. He done some flashy enough time. But to come from behind where he did, he looked like a real 5.75 dog there on Saturday night. He flew home. Yeah. And look, he hasn't got a great draw in the final, as we'll see. But he ran with real credit back in second place.
Let's ask the man himself. BoyleSports Gift, you must have been very pleased with him, Kevin.
Yeah, we were over the moon. There was no ambition or interest to run in the Champion Stakes. That was not the plan. He came back from Towcester. It didn't happen for him. He completely missed the break there in the quarterfinals, and that was it. The race was over in a matter of strides. They sandwiched him up quite quickly. The plan was just to leave him off and leave him fresh. Like, he went through the Kirby really well. He picked up a slight niggle in that Kirby. We had to withdraw him out of there, and then after Towcester, it was a bit of a rush job to get him into Towcester. And then we thought, right, we'll give him a couple of weeks off and get him fresh for the Derby. But he was just bouncing. He really was. He was in such good form, and he can be that way. He's very full of himself. So we said we'd throw him into the Champion Stakes to see how we got on. We know the hair goes past the traps in the UK where it doesn't in Ireland. He hadn't been back over a set of Irish traps. So I was a little bit concerned about how he'd break. Didn't break as well as he can. Just on his running style, he's a brilliant trapper. I'm not so sure he's got brilliant early. Now, I know, Ian, you think he's got reasonably good early.
Well, I think good. Like, he's enough early to maintain his position into a corner. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dad feels the same. Dad likes his early. I just think he's when I was tongue in cheek with you and Kilkenny about the fastest sectional market, it's just his in Limerick when he got the timing down, he was an incredible starter. Like, he was literally coming out half a length in front every night. Now, some of the better dogs, better early pacers were catching him going into the bend, but from the boxes for the first couple of strides, like, he can really motor. And when we got him off John Kennedy, and a big mention to John Kennedy here, because how Gift came to part was we'd bought another dog off John who unfortunately got injured, and on the Monday morning, John rang me and said, meet me in Kenny on Monday morning, I want to show you a couple of dogs, take your pick to replace him with. And that's how Gift came along, hence the name. And John always thought he might be a short runner, that he mightn't get the 550, he'd such brute early. And a couple of weeks into us having him, his running style seemed to change. He was strong. He was up to 700-yard gallop. He was only getting going at the top. And
so you're at a winter racing festival 600 or something, Barry. I can see a plan hatching as we speak in here.
I actually tongue in cheek said to him one day we go for the 750 with his brilliant trap, and he'd get out and gone, and they mightn't get by him. Now look, I don't know if he'd ever stay at 750. I was surprised how well he picked up the other night, because he didn't run the first bend well. He slightly now. Look, we'll get him checked out and hopefully everything is okay. And he sort of went to stumble going into the third bend. So, look, I'm not saying he would have beaten the other Kobe at all, but I was delighted with how he ran. I still think he left time on the track, but I think the trap draw, when we get to it, might cause more problems than that else next week.
Even behind him, Magic Cuba in third. A bit wide in places. First time in Shelburne Park in a while, Barry. I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. Have no doubt he'll get a couple of clear runs in the early rounds of the Derby, and he could still develop into a serious Derby contender. Crypto Punk was fourth. He needs to front off. There's no question about that. You saw the 1596 run at Clonmel previously to that, so he just needs to get to the front. The other Ryhope Beach in 5. Oh, he's turning into a frustrating greyhound. He's so many gears, but completely walked from traps.
Yeah, 380 sectional.
You can't even look at that. And Radical Hero just didn't happen for him. Incidentally, the other Kobe did what did he do? Big pardon. He did 1706 to the third bend. Now, when you consider that Scaglietti in the final, he did 1746. Scaglietti's coming home 5 lengths faster from the third bend to the line. So, the other Kobe is struggling to see it. I know Scaglietti's pretty strong, but 1255 as opposed to 1220, it's sort of just tells you exactly where the other Kobe is and where he's doing his running. Let's go on to that third heat, because Scaglietti I thought was mighty impressive. His issue is to the corner. We saw that in the Kirby, pinged out, couldn't get to the corner. Similar scenario in Shelburne since then. But here the other night, he ran a clever into the opening corner, set it in behind Callaway Pro-Am, and just shot up the inside into the back straight. And once going to the front, forget about picking him up. Droopy's nice one again, running a big race on the outside. BoyleSports Vic ran a big race. He hasn't been blessed with draws this year. He wants the fence, and just not getting the draw, but ran a big race in defeat in third. Callaway Pro-Am, disappointing, has to be said. Ballymac Marino didn't happen for him after a very slow start, and Sober Glory again, he got balked early. So Scaglietti, Kevin, very impressive winner. He's a very fast greyhound. The problem is going to be going to the corner in the bigger races, but there's no question he has the pace to challenge against the very best, and he's proven there.
Yeah, the longer run to the bend in the 550 probably won't play to his strongest suit, but this is both a compliment and a concern at the same time. The first, anyone, a greyhound enthusiast, just watch the run that Scaglietti done between the first 2 bends. I know when Susie Sapphire was running, me and you were in awe of how she ran the first 2 bends. He was brilliant. The tight line he took, it never cost him momentum. He never broke straight. He was awesome. But on the same hand, Callaway Pro-Am stepped off and couldn't seem to stay in, which would lead me to say there may be a small issue there that I'm sure Owen can iron out before the Derby comes around. But he was brilliant on the second bend. The running he done that won him the race. The manoeuvre he made there, like you said, Vic was moving in, and Scaglietti, he had to jump across the back of Callaway Pro-Am slightly. So he did leave time on the track, Scaglietti. Like you said, if he can hold his position into the first and second bend, from the second bend home, he's probably the fastest in the final coming home, or at least one of them. So it's just all about the position that he can hold around the opening 2 bends. Droopy's nice one, we might glance over her, she was mighty impressive too. She really stayed strong. Look, Vic would have needed the run, but he definitely headed her off the last bend, and he is strong. So for her to get back up and nail him on the line was a huge run, and she's got some draw in the final. She's got
the one thing you have to do with her is you have to factor in that 2 lengths that she throws away around the sort of 3.5 to just before she straightens up into the straight. Every night, it's not even when she's on her own, she'd be out there, and that's what you have to sort of factor in. But I agree with you, she's a great draw. Barry, Scaglietti, Droopy's nice one.
Yeah, it's not much to add to what Kevin said. Scaglietti, I thought he was very good again, but he's just a horror draw in the final for me. He's been quite lightly raced in recent weeks and months, I suppose. He's only had 2 runs in maybe the last 6 weeks, and he's been very good on both of them. I think the last time he won was 29.48 in Shelburne Park, and I think that's near enough one of the best of the year at the time he done it. But he's been running well. He's been a great man in Patrick Guilfoyle, and he's really improved. I think he won an A1 stake in there not so long ago at the beginning of the year of a 5.75. Droopy's nice one again. Yeah, she ran a cracker. She ran well in the Oaks Consolation against Undisputed a couple of weeks back in there, and BoyleSports Vic really caught the eye, finishing well. I actually thought he was up. But yeah, what Kevin said about Scaglietti running the opening bends, as I say, I was commentating and he just seemed to appear out of nowhere at the sprint box just up the inside, and away he went. Callaway Pro-Am's not running the way he was. And he's done that on a couple of occasions now. He's led and he's faded out of it, and he wouldn't give up on Ballymacarena and Sober Glory. Carl Ramsden didn't have much luck on the night. He was quite unlucky going to the turn as well. But yes, Scaglietti did leave time on the track. Kevin said he's very well balanced to be able to jump a dog at that pace and still maintain his. He never really lost much of a stride, but yeah, I like him, but I think he has a horror draw in the final, and I actually like Droopy's nice one in the final. I'm sure we're going to talk about that now.
Yeah, let's talk about the final, and then we'll skip into the Champion Plate. The final of the Champion Stakes. Well, we know that Trap 1 is Trinity Junior. In 2, Scaglietti, Hawkfield Blue, BoyleSports Gifts, the other Kobe, and Droopy's Nice One. The eye is drawn to, well, for me, it was drawn to 2 dogs. In terms of what's going to happen early, like the other Kobe's out in Trap 5, you see Droopy's Nice One's out in 6, and on the inside Trinity Junior. Now Trinity Junior edged in from 5 to the night. Funny enough, I seem to remember him when he's on the inside, he does tend to move to the middle a little bit, so I think he'll move off slightly. It could get tight in the middle, as we know, because if the other Kobe comes away, you know, there's only one direction he's going to go eventually. Now, the other night, he took his time, but from 5, it might be just too tempting for him to just not dive straight across. I still think the potentially could set the pace around the opening corner and could be the one to pick up, but I think this will be close to 3-1 to field, gentlemen. I did get an email this morning from Demo. I think they may have priced it up already. I'll try and get that up. Don't have my phone. I don't know where I left it.
Yeah, Kobe's 9-4 favourite at the moment, and it's 3-1 bar Trinity Junior, 7-2 Hawkfield Blue, 4-1 Scaglietti, and then 8 BoyleSports Gift.
Yeah, there's no doubt Layers will try and guess the other Kobe from the draw at that sort of price. I think he'll be a bit of a drifter. I think you'll be able to get close enough to 3-1 about him on the night. Certainly, given the fact that it's on RPGTV, and you know, I know we're talking to the BoyleSports man, but the exchanges make that difference in terms of the public can give their opinion easier. Kevin, what's your initial thoughts?
I'm not as concerned about the draw for Trinity Junior as you two are. I think if
I'm not concerned about it. I think the fate is in his own hands, but will he break as well from there? And he will edge off, but he might just have the room to edge off.
Yeah, he might just have. Now, the one thing that will help Kobe is Gift. Now, he won't be as violent as Kobe, but he will, if he's going anywhere, he's going to edge in slightly as well. So that will aid him. I just think Droopy's Nice One at 8-1 is massive. Now, I know each way mightn't be the play for everybody, but like at 8-1 each way, when every bit of information is telling you that 5 is going left and 1, if it's going anywhere, it's probably heading a little bit to the right. I don't think there's outstanding early in this final. I went back and looked at the sections the other night. I'm Marino, like I fear sympathy from Marino, similar to Gift. First run back out English box, completely misses it. Yeah. I think Gift by his standards completely missed it. And when I went back and checked it, I think he's second, or possibly not far off being third on the sectional market, or on the sections of the 6 finalists, where I thought he, by his standards, walked out. So, do you know what I mean? I don't think there's massive early in this. I think there could be trouble on the run to the bend. I could see Droopy's Nice One going around maybe first or second, and at 8-1, she'll throw away a length or 2 off the last bend, but she's as strong as anything in it, bar maybe Scaglietti. So I think if I was playing from a punter's perspective, I'd have a few quid each way on Droopy's Nice One. I'm obviously hoping BoyleSports Gift can lift the BoyleSports Champion Stakes, so I'm spending this week trying to wrap my head around how he gets a run and how it falls into his lap. But look, the BoyleSports Champion Stakes has been a very lucky competition for our kennel, so never say never. I remember Long Valley Tina beating the Late Show in this at one day, so you would have got 100-1, I'd say, on her doing that. So
JT Yankee won it 2 years running for you.
2 years in a row. He was brilliant. He had the early. That was the thing.
He was the bingo breaker. He was brilliant early. Yeah, but brilliant trapper, and more importantly, Barry. Just, you know, we don't have an awful lot of time to talk about it, but you know, the price of Droopy's Nice One, it's not quite built in. You know, how good the draw is. I sort of made around a 5-1, 6-1 chance. You know, there's still a little bit of juice there.
Yeah, I think she's been running really well. As I mentioned a few moments ago, she ran well in that Consolation Oaks behind Undisputed. She ran well again there last night. And as Kevin says, BoyleSports Gift can trap. And if he does trap and Colby comes away in decent style, he's going to move in as well. And if Gift does give him room on the run up, he'll take that room and he'll move in even further, I think. And I don't think one wants to be drawn where he is. I can see Scaglietti coming out quite well and one pacing up the inside of him. And I think there could be trouble there. I think there could be trouble from the middle to wide runners. And I think at 8-1, she's a big, big chance. I also give 3 a small chance. I know he's completely the meat in the sandwich. I'm saying 1 and 2 could come together and 4 and 5 could come together. He's still young enough to improve. He's really sprint bred, isn't he? By that bitch Brownstown Tango, who's or prodigy of so much early pace. And look, I don't think he showed good enough early pace last week behind Trinity Junior. As I say, Trinity Junior took a flyer last week and he was right on his quarters going into the bend. So if I was to have a bet here, I'd be back in 6, but I'd be saving my stake on trap 3 here.
Yeah. Do you know who we beat in his first 2 career starts?
Who, Hockfield Blue? No, go on.
Clonbrine Treaty, beaten 4 lengths and 5 lengths in his first 2 career starts. That was obviously an unraced stake at Shelburne Park. It is worth pointing out he's a 206 and a 208 in his card for the 525. So, like, he is capable of a slick exit. Yeah, I give him a serious life, Hockfield Blue, but he is going to have to trap. Like, there's no question about that. But that goes without saying in any major final. But I think in particular this final, because if you're going to get any sort of room to run, it's going to be in the first 3 strides, because after that, things start to get very tight very quickly. And like yourselves, I think Droopy's nice one is very much the value selection, the value play. Whether I'll be tipping her to win it, I don't know, but I'll certainly be recommending her representing a little bit of value. We'll get back to that word later on when we're talking about a different final, value. Let's look at the champion plate before we go to the Corn Cuchulainn. Obviously, we can't spend too much time on the champion plate, gentlemen, because we've so much to discuss, but we had some wonderful racing. The last 2 champion plates have been won by Kevin. Jack's Little Thing won 2 years ago. Went on to be 3rd in the Derby, the top dog in the Derby final that year. And last year's champion plate was won by a certain Born Warrior who went on to win the Derby. So I think it's a fair sort of measuring stick. The 2 runnings of the Champions Plate have gone to 2 dogs that went very close or did indeed win the Derby. The 2 heats went to Beepers Lariat and Ballymac Walt. Both quite similar in the sense they got loose early, did everything right at the head of affairs. Beepers Lariat, I bumped into Lenny O'Hanlon late into the night in Towcester, and he was more than delighted to tell me that Beepers Lariat had won. I hadn't even taken a look at the results at that stage of the proceedings. I was too busy sort of just refreshing the throat after a heavy night's commentating. Beepers Lariat, 29.66, got loose early. Optic Chico, who came in for very strong support in the outright market, also in the Derby market. And you can see why. He's a very fast greyhound, perhaps shown up a little bit into the corner. That's where his issues are going to be, no question, Kevin. But Beepers Lariat, it was just great to see him starting. Now, I had run him at Shelburne last week, so he had the benefit of coming back to the boxes, not like, as you say, the Merino and BoyleSports Gift. This fellow had run from the boxes last week and walked out. This week, probably his best start in a long, long time. I think he's better suited to the Irish mechanism than he is the English mechanism.
Yeah, he's a funny one. I'd be quite friendly with Lenny, and he's a dog that stood out to me like a sore thumb in the juvenile in Tralee, way back when. Might have tried to twist Lenny's arm to see would he part with him once or twice, but didn't have much joy with it. But he was all early when I saw him starting off. He didn't trap in the first round of the juvenile, but he showed unreal early to get up to. I still don't know how he managed to make the bend. He trapped a length and a half behind and made the bend in the first round of the juvenile. He was mad for trap 1. Now, I mean, this dog was more railer than what the other Kobe was at his worst when I first saw him, which was obviously going to be an Achilles heel for him. And then he's gone through, he with age, he's not as desperate for the fence at all anymore, which is obviously a major positive. But he's far stronger now than he was. He, like Barry mentioned in commentary, when he hit the front early, this strong running type is in front early, and that's how his style has been perceived over the last while. But that's not the dog I saw on Tralee.
Well, he has a lovely combination. He has the early speed. We just haven't seen him been able to use it to full effect because he's been missing the kick. But exactly. The other night he got loose, as you say, got to the front, and he's strong. His brother ran 6 bends in Towcester the other evening. Another one of his brothers is very strong. They're obviously a strong run litter, and he's started strengthened and matured and turning into a proper greyhound.
Oh, he is. He has every attribute you'd want now. Look, I don't think anyone could watch this race and not be blown away by the runner-up. Optic Chico is just a monster, isn't he?
He's huge gears. He's just monster gears, yeah, from the second bend particularly, yeah.
He's all legs. I don't think he's like his balance doesn't seem to be there yet. I don't know whether that'll come in time. Like he's 76 pound weight. I actually thought watching him he looked bigger, just because I don't think he's fully developed into his stride yet. When he gets that down, I went and checked his card. It's his first time around Shelburne officially. Whether or not he's been around in a trial, I don't know. That's me being honest. I genuinely don't know.
Given the money for him ahead of the champion plate and the Derby,
He may well have been.
There was, from what I hear, there was one or two men that got called and went like, let's go on this song. And I would have suggested that might have happened a few hours after a potential trial.
Okay, well then, because I was like, maybe it was just his first run around or something like that. But he did look just a little bit off balance nearly all the way around. I find it a little bit scary to think what this lad would do. If he gets loose on the bunny some night in the Derby, though, in an early round, this lad could put up monstrous times if he hits the front.
But this is a dog, Kevin. You like, by God, yourself and your father aren't shy to buy dogs out of Enniscorthy. Like, this is a dog did 28.50. On the clock. Now, in 28.30 sort of estimated. 28.50 on the clock in his racing debut around Enniscorthy. That's sensational stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. No, look, and it is. And he sort of not went off the boil a little bit, but he went a little bit under the radar. He wasn't as impressive as he was in the first round through the stake. He missed the break once or twice down there. Still showed all the ability, but just didn't do the big flashy run. The other night, I was watching on Bark and Buzz, and I stuck my euro on him just because he's a dog that I liked back in his Enniscorthy days. And yeah, he's a huge eye catcher. I look forward to watching what he can do in the Derby.
Yeah, he came from behind Swords Fudge one night in Clonmel. Nothing comes from behind Swords. Like, Swords Fudge came from fourth the other night to win his race in Shelburne, and like, this dog came from 3 or 4 lengths behind him to pick him up and beat him a length. Yeah. It just goes to show the engine he has. Beeper's Lariat Barry. It was over early, no question about Optic Chico, big running behind him, and Romeo Hanzo running okay. And third, he qualifies through. Need to be a bit sharper in the early yards.
Yeah, Beeper's Lariat's a dog it back to win the English Greyhound Derby, but he was falling out over there, and you just couldn't continue that through the later rounds. He ran well in the trial stake against Warzone Tom, and that sort of showed me how strong he was, because Warzone Tom is 1 over 6 bends. I think he won the Sussex Cup over there, so he held him all the way home. So he is a strong enough sort. Optic Chico, for me, look, he just doesn't have the early gears, lads. He's had 7 or 8 starts. I know he's won 4 of them, but I think he's only led into the third bend maybe once. He's always second, third, or fourth at that stage. And once he goes up in class, look, he's no doubt he has plenty of gears, but he will need to improve his starting. But I just say if the money comes on a Monday afternoon, something has been in Shelburne Park and done a decent run. But Beeper's Lariat probably is a tricky draw again in the final of the plate. But top 2 are still there, 2 to really look forward to, and they won't be any bigger than 25 to 1 for the Derby, that's for sure.
Beeper's Lariat did 17.25 to the third bend. It's notable that the next heat won by Ballymac Wall 2 has, I thought, been struggling to get the 550. Bang, 29.51. That would have been the pace setter in both the Champion Plate and the Champion Stakes. This is obviously a greyhound, Kevin, they've thought an awful lot of from the very start. He made such a splash on his debut in the Juvenile Classic, and it didn't really happen for him through the remainder of the competition. And he's just been trying to find his feet. They brought him over to Towcester. It didn't happen there. And back now to Shelburne Park. He's had, 3 races back, and 29.51 the other evening. I think this was clearly his best run to date. I think if this is a sign of what we're going to get in the future, I thought he handled Trap 6 lovely. I liked the way he went up. I thought this was a really, really impressive display. I just think he might have turned the corner. I think the penny's really starting to drop.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Like he strayed them into the first bend. Like you had to really go back through the form. Like sometimes when you see that, you have to watch the replay to see did something happen, did something charge the boxes, that there was such a distance between them going into the first bend. But he when he got going early, he left them for dead. He done the same last week in a fierce good race. Like that race last week, I know we had the BoyleSports Vic dog in it. He blew up. Right Hope Beach was in it. That was a fierce good race, and he was in front of the third bend. Like you said, he got
tangled up with the other dog.
Walking up the inside there. Beeper's Lariat came flying up the inside, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Beeper's Lariat, but there was another dog on the outside.
On the outside, BoyleSports Vic.
Oh, BoyleSports Vic, that's right. BoyleSports
Vic. The 3 of them were in a line into the third bend.
Yeah.
But like that was a fair race now, and he was again in front of the third bend. Like Born Warrior won the Derby from the front. New Taylor won the Derby from the front. Like Derbies are won from the front. I wouldn't put anyone off a few quid on this lad. Like you said, when he first came on the scene in Tralee, he really got tongues wagging for Ballymac cash out of sire. Like, it was the first cash out to hit the ground in 28, 13 or 14 on
Yeah.
debut, wasn't it? It was an incredible run.
Like, if you actually take off that run off his card, like take off his
Yeah.
debut run, all of a sudden he looks like, God, this is a real sort of improving dog. He's after stepping up, and bang, this run the other night is a combination of it. But the fact that he had done that 28-12 on debut, you're sort of waiting for it to happen again, and it hadn't really. But now the fact that it's again, he's clearly just a dog that's finding his feet.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think there's more to come. Like, he's going to gain a bit more confidence, like you said. Possibly just lost a bit of confidence, that, and that's why he struggled to find his feet. I wouldn't worry about what happened in the UK. It's highly stated by Liam, that Kennel got a bug over there. You never know when that happens. Who's gonna affect the worst? And like, this dog, since coming back, it might have taken him a run or two, but now he's starting to show exactly what he's capable of. A massive say as well to Ballyhimmock and Leo here. I know I might be getting caught up on the runner-up more than nearly the winner in both heats, but I thought this dog ran a massive race again in defeat. Like, he's some gears. He was the best of the rest of them going.
I backed him at massive prices in each way in England, because I know he's a massive engine. Just never got to really show it over there. But if you go back in his card, there's one or two massive runs on his card. Very fast greyhound.
Yeah, look, and he went deep in the Derby as well. You know what I mean? Like, he was at the quarterfinals as well. He went out, I think, in the English Derby. So coming back, a massive run first back around Shelbourne, and I think he could be a big player in the Derby going forward. You're going to have lots of fun with him. And a little mention for 2 in a row, a greyhound I've always been a massive admirer of. I don't think we ever got to see the very best of him. Look, maybe he needed the run, but he just doesn't seem to have that spark he once had. For lads out there that look for a random enough dog to breed a bitch, I would not put anyone off breeding a bitch to 2 in a row. He was one of the fastest pups I'd seen at the time. I thought the world was at his feet. Was it this time last year? Just injuries and just setbacks just have derailed him a little bit. But look, Ballymac Walt, a very good winner and a very good runner-up in Ballyhimmock and Leo.
Yeah, Churchtown Sid qualified in third. Barry, he's given Michael Crotty and Dennis Fitzgerald some spin. I doubt they spent big money on him. He's after winning 2 valuable competitions in Shelbourne Park, and here he is in the final of another one.
Yeah, he won the 10,000 GRI Summer Open, wasn't it, a couple of weeks ago? Ran well there, and he didn't.
And he won a 5.7. He won a 5.75 stake, or was it a dual distance earlier in the year? It might have been a 5.75 stake. And
yeah, he was over 16,000 euro in prize money, but the 10,000 one a couple of weeks ago was a good run, because, as I say, that was a good race, and he didn't miss, or he missed a break that time and showed good early pace up. He's got a cracking card, but Ballymac Walt, look, he was the star of the show, I suppose. I think, apart from his 28-12, is that his career best? It probably is, I suppose.
I think that is his career best.
Yeah, it would be
because nothing's doing big runs for 550 for whatever reason. I don't know why it is. 29.50 used to be what 29.30 was. I don't know if it's different mechanisms or different trips or whatnot, but it just, like, dogs that seem to be doing a 29.30 run are doing 29.50. And 29.50 seems to be where we're at,
I always found that 550, other than the Derby time, the 550 in Shelbourne has always been like, you could bring a dog up and do 28.20 and whatever they had, the 110 or the 120, whatever they had. It doesn't always work well. Like, you break 29.60 for 550 in Shelbourne anytime.
Yeah,
that's savage. Like, really is really impressive. Now, in the Derby, for whatever the reason, it just seems to, like, I remember BoyleSports Extra.
I can think of a couple of reasons. They are absolutely primed for it. If they're not producing in the Derby, they'll never produce it.
Yeah.
Oh, I tend to agree with you. Yeah, but Ballymac Walt, from your position on Saturday night, BC, people don't realize how impressive and how eye-catching performances like that are. You see them breaking level, and by the time they're passing you, like, he's 2.5 clear. Like, that's to put dogs of these qualities to the sword like that is so impressive.
Yeah, it's a great view you have up there, because it's almost bird's eye. You're up in the third floor and you're looking down on them. And look, as regards going for a Derby anti-post bet, he's drawn wide, and that's massive, because you're always going to get 6 more often than not. So, like, he was very good last week or 2 weeks ago when he bumped up against Papa Dioro and a well-backed Hovex Tommy, and those two went on to frank form. But what you say about being up in the commentary box, that was where we first seen Cuchulainn Hoffa that night. I think it was back in May, when he came out behind a decent dog of Martin Lanny's called Crafty Bonanza, who's some good early pace, and literally blew him away into the bend. Yeah. And I think I texted you that night and said, we've seen the Derby winner there. I've been
talking to, I remember last year talking to Tommy about Cuchulainn Hoffa and that sort of early dash, and he was always a big fan of the dog, but it was the night he took off in Shelbourne in one of the Derby rounds. He was there for one of the early rounds, and he came up and watched it on my shoulder, and after the race he went, God, it just looks different up here. He says, that's
Yeah.
that was unbelievable. I've never seen a dog take off like that. And
Yeah, you
obviously
can.
it was the right dog, but from the viewpoint, it's just, it's, we're truly blessed to be able to watch it from up there. Let's look at the draw for the final because it's a cracker. Churchtown Citizen 1, Beepers Lariat 2, Romeo Hanzo 3, Ballyhimmock and Leo 4, Optic Chico 5, and Ballymac Walt is out in trap 6. It's like it's open. You can't really sort of, put your finger on one too strongly. I'll definitely side though with Ballymac Walt on the outside because, 19 times out of 20, he'll probably lead Optic Chico into the corner. You'd say the same for Ballyhimmock and Leo. Romeo Hansel want to be putting that last run behind him. Beepers Lariat, just as Churchtown Sid to contend with in those opening 5 strides, that's not easy. He's going to definitely edge off. Ballymac Walt for me. What about yourselves, gentlemen?
I'll side with Ballymac Walt as well. Yeah, I do like Georgetown sit up the inside. He's a big boy, isn't he? So too is Beepers Lariat. But yeah, he should lead out wide. And if he reproduces anything like 29.50, very, very hard to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's going to get boring. The dog that'll be in front of the third bend generally wins these big finals, and I just expect Ballymac Wall to be the dog in front at the third bend. I wouldn't if someone is looking for an alternative, I'm going to go with Optic Chico. Tends to, I don't think it's a bad method to nearly go with the fastest dog in the race, and I understand what Barry's saying about him not being a trapper. I'm not saying he's definitely the fastest dog in the race, but for all-round ability, I don't think there's too many in training that have links in hand over Optic Chico. I really feel he's that fast. So if you're looking to take on Ballymac Walt, the likely favourite, Optic Chico might be worth a few quid.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We haven't even mentioned 2 Graham Holland train runners. He doesn't have a bad record in these finals, We'll move on. That's the Champion Plate, of course, all on RPGTV on Saturday night. Now we have the Corn Cuchulainn to look back on. The opening heat won by Kinturk Road in 41.35, 3.65, 41.51, and then Garfinney Blaze winning the last of the 3 heats in 41.15. Excuse me, Barry. All 3 were impressive. Let's start with Kinturk Road, 41.35. Bingo break, got to the front. She remains unbeaten over 6 bends. And until she's beaten over 6 bends, you have to show her the utmost respect.
I just want to have a little moan first. I just don't think these 2 competitions should be on the same night. I really don't. I just thought they used to be standalone competitions, really big competitions, the Corn Cuchulainn and the Champion Stakes. And another moan before I continue, I don't think 4 dogs should be qualifying from. I just don't like the way they have a format with 4 dogs qualifying. But it was the same with the Oaks at the start of the year. We've seen 10 first-round heats and we've seen 8 second-round heats. Not a fan. Anyway, that's my little rant over for the
Wasn't
time
much
being.
of a rant now, to be honest, Barry.
No, but I could go on. But, you know what I mean? I just don't think 4 should be qualifying here. If there was a 5-dog race and 4 qualifying, and we've seen it earlier on with the Oaks at the start of the year, 4-dog races, and in some cases 5 dogs were qualifying for them. You say what you like about the English Derby, but it's a knockout. 3 and 3 and 3. In my opinion, that's the way it should be. Anyway, Kinturk Road, yeah, very good. A 1-2 for Liam Dowling here. She wasn't a star really over 4 bends, and in this competition, bar maybe 3.65, there has been no real 4 bend stars. And I'm raging Kevin's on here this morning because it looks like I'm brown nosing them, but the likes of the Priceless Jets and all these sort of dogs who went over 6 bends, like they were stars over 4 bend, and we've seen them up to 6 bend. But I just don't think we have that sort of star, 4 bend star in the competition. Like we've seen last year, Crafty Gacoro, 4 bend star, and other dogs, that were 4 bend stars and took the step up and trip. But look, it's a good competition. The clock says so. Kinturk Road, she was very good again. If she keeps breaking like that and doing 41.35 off the front, she's going to be very, very hard to pick up. Bar Ballymac Katie in this whole competition, I don't think there's an out-and-out big, massive finisher in it. I think there's a lot of dogs who can do big damage off the front. And Hanover Phantom hasn't been running as well as we know he can. He's got a bad enough draw in the semi-final next week, but he's yet to get in front over 7.50 Hanover Phantom.
A much better run the other night from him.
It was. And look, he's got a bad draw outside 2 fast starters on Saturday night. But if he can nip into the final and get drawn 1 or 2, he's a massive price at say now to win it out. And he'll be much better off the front. He and 365 are probably the 2 classiest dogs over 4 bends. And we know Hanover Phantom, he's strong over a long 4 bends. And I think there's more to come from him. But yeah, if Kinturk Road keeps doing what she's doing, it'll be hard to beat, wouldn't she?
A good run from Kinturk Road, Kevin.
Yeah, I was again. Look, I suppose I'm always looking out for the ones in behind a little bit, maybe more than I'm watching the ones in front. I thought Ballymac Katie was incredible. I thought it was genuinely incredible what I was watching. Like I know, Ian, you love your stayers. Like I don't ever really be looking out for especially when we only have really the one major that's over 750. But I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of the UK lads weren't knocking on the Dowling's door or giving him a few.
But they've already sold the sister.
Oh, have
sister.
you?
I organised the purchase of the sister. She's gone over to the MWD partnership, and
Okay.
Mark Wallace. What I told them was, lads, you know, that's the TV trophy winner for you. She's a bitch called Ballymac Taylor. Ballymac Katie could well be a threat to her because Liam has gone over for the TV trophy in the past. Now the TV trophy's already been run this year. It'll be run again early next year. So she'd be certainly one you'd be eyeing it up a TV trophy challenge with. And it's obviously loads of pace in the pedigree as well. And she'll be a brood bitch of some note down the future as well. So be interesting to see if they do hold on to her and go down the road of bringing her across the pond. You could bring her across for one or two. There's plenty of big competitions now in the UK for 8 Bend Stars, and yeah, she's certainly one you'd definitely look to hop in the ferry with a couple of times and pick up some handy money, you'd think.
Oh, she's a monster. Now, look, for the purpose of this competition, I think she's going to struggle.
Just not sharp enough, probably.
Yeah, because
but as Barry said, afford to qualify an extra round in there. That'll stand to her. It'll stand to her more than any other dog,
Oh no, it will. And look, realistically, you could have a final of Cunter Road 365, Garfinny Blaze, McNeil, like a whole load of early pacers over this trip. If they all landed the bend together and there's a bit of scrummaging, and she managed to sneak up the inside, like of all the others, she's the one you don't want sitting 4 lengths off you passing the win line the first time. Because
forget about it.
your goose is cooked at that stage. But I thought she was awesome in defeat. Like I thought she ran all over Kinturk Road, who, like you said, unbeaten over the trip, loves it, doing exactly what needs to be done, popping out in front and making all. It's now down to the semi-final stage. It's now going to where the early pacers are now going in against each other. Things might get a little bit trickier. Like you guys said, I thought Hanover Phantom in a massive race. I thought it was a little bit disappointing last week, but much improved. Like he stuck to the task well. He really did. Like I wouldn't mind Ballymac Katie passing him. I genuinely think she'd pass anything in this competition from the second last bend home. So, but when you think like he's only 2 lengths behind Kinturk Road, that's a massive step up on what he had been doing. So
I concur. Move on to the second heat. 365 got loose early. Didn't quite take the ping she took the previous week. Took a little rub in the opening corner, but got to the front. Thought Prince Lucius ran a fine race in second spot. Ballybock champ running well to qualify in third. But it's very much about 365 and Prince Lucius. 365. I think she's a stout stayer. I think she just keeps going. I think she'd probably win over another 50 yards or so. Clock wasn't there the other night for her. It was still good clock, 41.51. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's better to come from her. She had come back from injury for last week, so I wouldn't be shy if there was a touch of the bounce. But I think she's capable of a 41.30 every single night a week. And if you're capable of doing that with the way she can start, she has to be a big player in this competition. Barry, go to you about 365.
Yeah, again, like you said, she's classy over 4 bends, as we mentioned. She's 28.30 on her card, a couple of 28.40 trials as well. She was withdrawn from the Oaks, I think, while still in there with a live chance. But yeah, look, she's similar to Kinturk Road, probably a little bit better than Kinturk Road over 4 bends, if the truth be told. I think Kinturk Road is maybe A1, A2, and she's obviously much better than her over 4 bends. But yeah, they're very similar in their run styles, and I think whichever one of them was to lead around each other, they'd be hard to pick up. But yeah, 41.51, she's a bit defined on the clock, but I wouldn't mind that if she got to the front of the likes of Kinturk Road. And Ollie Bray's Prince Lucius, he ran well. He was the Newbridge Derby winner, wasn't he? He's not too long over the trip. He ran well as well.
I was talking to Ollie and Martin. They were both over at Towcester, and I said to him, Ollie, I don't seem to remember you ever having a stayer. He says, neither can I. He said, I think I might have had one about 25 years ago. And Martin was like, obviously Martin's considerably younger than me, unfortunately. But he said, I have never remember a stayer in the kennel.
They had a bitch used to run the Corn Cuchulainn in Harold's Cross. They bred over, was it Churchtown?
I think Ollie may have mentioned. I don't think that was in Martin's time. Do you know what I mean? That's
probably not Martin's, but
15,
I think it might have been the dam of Watch the Market, Tyra Ted's dam. Was Tyra Ted Watch the Market?
Yeah.
I think the dam of Tyra Ted's grand dam. I think they had a stay-in bitch when the Corn Cuchulainn was worth 50,000. Go on, I'm going to have.
We digress. Kevin, 365. As you said it earlier on about BoyleSports gift, you need one that bingos and just keeps going. That's 365.
Yeah, and as well as that, she has what you were describing there. I think this one never shirks a battle. Again, similar to what I was saying about Treaty Junior, for a split second into the second last bend, Prince Lucius was coming and coming. I think she'll always give you that impression, but it's one thing to get to her hindquarters. It's another thing to get past her.
She's not afraid to kick again, to go again, like if she hears something coming on her heels.
Yeah, and just to say a massive massive congratulations and well done, and best of luck to Scott Phelan and Ciara Byrne. Like you know, they embarked there, they got new kennels, they've really gone out on their own, and they're having some joy, you know, and two nicer people you couldn't meet. So I'm
and
sure
the owners, the Pints of High Note Syndicate, they sound like my type of people, I can tell you.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I don't think anyone going to the track would begrudge 365, and any neutral who isn't connected to a runner, I'm sure, will be weighing in behind them. And like I said, she's got everything you want to win a Corn Cuchulainn. She's a brilliant trapper. She stays. She's gutsy. Forget the clock. I'm not worried about a 41.50. If she pops out in front of any of these, it'll take a good one to get past her.
Yeah, I'll have to go some. Garfinney Blaze won the final. He's the the bigger brother, shall we say, and bigger just in terms of stature. Obviously, he's the same age as Ballymac but he looks a natural for this trip. McNeil is just finding his feet over the trip, though, Kevin. This was clearly his fastest run over the distance. He just seems to be. You find dogs likes McNeil, they often find themselves struggling just to find the pace. They put too much pace to the race early in their first start or two over the trip, and I think he's pacing himself that bit better now. 41.32 he produces in second, and Peter Sidney back in third. Obviously bred to stay. His brother won actually at Towcester on Saturday night over 6 bends as well, out of Blundell Spark, who of course the dam of Dana Point, the wonderful marathon bitch a couple of years ago. But Garfinney Blaze, this dog is just doing everything right. He was 4-6 the other night, and yes, he was challenged early, but he was always in a perfect position. If you were on, I don't think you had them real moments where you knew, like, given the fact that he had form over McNeil, the come from behind him in their first start over 6 bends, that you were always pretty comfortable. But a hell of a run by the first two.
Yeah, like this Garfinney Blaze, like they ran against each other, like you said, in the first time over it, and I almost nearly put it down to the fact that McNeil had only recently been back from the UK and this, that, and the other, and I thought that if they met again, McNeil's 4-bend pace, looking at Garfinney Blaze's card where he'd ran in the Unraced in Kilkenny, I said, well, surely over 4 bends, McNeil would just have too much. That if he started, he'd. But this Garfinney Blaze, like McNeil trapped. Garfinney Blaze went up his inside around the first 2 bends and just outpaced with the home stretch the first time. And you know, I was delighted with how McNeil stuck to the task. Like you said, far better. He paced himself well. He's got stronger. These races are making him stronger. I said to you in a conversation we had on Saturday morning, I just didn't think McNeil was an out-and-out 750-yard dog, similar to Beach Avenue. You know, they'd stay on over 600, but that extra 150 yards, it takes really something special to get to stay and be starting.
But all these runs are standing to him in a sense where it's still confidence building. You know, there's no touching, there's no traffic. He's got a lovely clean run each of the nights, McNeil, and yeah, you'll find now that, you know, people go, oh, he's been run over 6 bends, and often people are too quick to dismiss them. I love a dog coming back from 6 bends.
Oh yeah, but that's the whole idea. Yeah. The whole idea was the same with Priceless Jet. It was to gain a bit more confidence when you look. McNeil is going to come back for the crack at the BoyleSports Derby. So this is, if he ran in the BoyleSports Champion Stakes, he's probably last at the corner, gets a slap or two here and there, and he's getting trouble all the time, which he's going to get when he goes in the Derby. Whereas he's getting a little bit of confidence, turning a bit closer, maybe turning in front. For him to beat Garfinney Blaze, he's going to have. I'm happier. I know we're on the inside next week. He's out trap 1. It's probably not McNeil's best box, but I think he has to be drawn there to beat him, because he doesn't cut the bend. He allowed him up the inside the last time. I think for him to beat him, he's going to have to take that inside line and hopefully pop out and lead him. But taking nothing away from this winner, this is some stare, Garfinney Blaze, and not just a stare. When this dog drops back to 4 bends, forget what's on his card, what he was doing in the Unraced in Kilkenny, because this dog is able to outpace McNeil over 4 bends, and that takes some doing.
He only had the 4 starts over 4 bends prior to stepping up and trip. So like it was like obviously with the pedigree, you see the way his brothers and sisters running and the way he was running over those 4 bend races, flying home at the finish. It was natural that he was going to go over 6 bends, but as you said, that bit of development, maturity, and just finding his feet. And again, no surprise to me if he was doing 29.50 for 550 yards in a month's time.
He will. I'd be fairly certain he will, because like I said, like he showed more pace than McNeil last night. Saturday night, I was very surprised passing the winning line the first time. Like, what price is McNeil to lead passing the winning line the first time after he trapped? No odds, I would have thought. But yeah,
Barry, were you impressed by Garfinney Blaze?
Yeah, I was. Look, and they should hold him up after this for a little A2 stake over 4 bends and nick a few quid because he's still graded to run A2. But yeah, very impressive. He's a very lightly raced dog. I think he's only had 6 or 7 races on his card. He's 3 from 3, over 750. I was there the night McNeil led past the stands, and you would have backed McNeil at 101, wouldn't you? Heading past the stand first time that night. But it would have been an interesting race now, lads, if McNeil had been on the inside of Garfield Blaze heading into the third bend last week. That would have been interesting because he left the door open for him, and all of a sudden he was 2 lengths behind at the sprint box, and the gap remained pretty similar. But yeah, Garfield Blaze very, very lightly raced. He's obviously the favourite to win the competition. If you look back at some of his 5-5 form, he has the ability to trap, and which will suit him over that short run to the bend. So he is the one to beat, but I wouldn't give up on McNeil just yet if he keeps getting drawn the inside of him.
We won't look at the semis. We have too much to do. We will be talking, of course, about the semi-finals at BoyleSports, or big part of the RPGTV Corn Cuchulainn next week, while also looking back at the finals of the Champion Plate and Champion Stakes. Okay, all 3 competitions will be on RPGTV. We have RPGTV at Shelbourne Park on Saturday and the following Saturday, and stuck in the middle on the Wednesday, the Dundalk International. So it's a great week for people who want to stay at home and watch the dogs. But we would always say to you, make sure you try and get to the track, because it'll be electric atmosphere next Saturday night. People are really starting to get wound up now. You know, this is the busy time. This is the great time. It's certainly the BoyleSports time, Kevin. You're going to be very busy. Sarah's going to be very busy, and I certainly know Damien Lonigan's very busy, or I'll certainly tell you he's very busy anyway.
Yeah, no, yeah. Look, the shirts are back out now. I only wear shirts at this time of the year, so you can tell the camera's coming around when you see me in a shirt.
Right, I hope I can fit into my shirts by the end of the Derby. Right, just want to mention a couple of things on the undercard. Born Warrior, the Derby champion, returned to action in the final race in the card. Very encouraging run to the third bend. Tied up badly, Barry, but I think they'll be pleased.
Yeah, he did tie up bad enough, Ian, I suppose. I wouldn't be too pleased with him, I have to say. I thought he should have done a little bit better than that. Look, the 3 up front, they were a long way clear of Swords Fudge. Swords Fudge is a good hound, but he's not a superstar. He's not a superstar.
He was 12-1 to win that race the other night. That's sort of some
he was 16-1. You could have got 16-1 in a place.
Wow.
I was looking down with your binoculars, having a look. He was 16-1 in a place. Look, Born Warrior, we all know if you look at that race the other night and you say this dog's best form is over a further 25 yards, people think you're mad in the head. You know, and I know it's all about the longer run to the bend that he can get clear. Look, you give him another chance, another holiday. He's another one coming back from a bit of a break. But the fact that the 2 of them were picked up by Deadly Showtime, who wouldn't be the strongest runner in the world for Carl Ramsbottom, suggests that they were either short of a run or was a little bit disappointing. And for Swords Fudge, who was 5 or 6 lengths behind the 3 of them heading down the back straight to pick them all up, I don't know. They'd need to improve. They would need to improve.
Yeah. Kevin, what's your take?
Look, Jennifer's a genius with these. Like this dog wouldn't be coming back, I don't think, if Jennifer didn't believe that this dog still retained the ability he had. We're still another 3 weeks out, and when the Derby starts, you still have 6 weeks to go. Don't expect this dog to be 100% round 1. I definitely wouldn't be liking to have him 100% at round 1, especially with his running style. You're always building with the running style that he has. You're literally hoping he's still there at the 3rd round. And if he gets to the 3rd round, then it's game on. He's going to be in front of the 3rd bend most nights.
They've had issues all year. Like, you know, they couldn't get to the bottom of it. I think they settled on a thyroid. I think it was. He was causing he wasn't getting home over sprint trips. Like, never mind 525, 550. So you'd imagine every run now he should come on. You know, certainly a few lengths. And touch wood, we see the best of him, because like, he was so electric through last year's Derby. You know what I mean? It was sensational. Drubby's one stop won the opener. I was starting to get a little bit disheartened by her after that debut, that run in defeat. But this was more like it. She's a very fast lady, Kevin. She's one of many, many fast ladies in this country at present.
Yeah, I think she's a freak. I genuinely do. I don't think, like you said, there's so many good bitches in the country at the moment. I couldn't believe the run she done in Tralee first time out. Genuinely, really, I couldn't. An absolute superstar. But like you said, that form just seemed to peter off. Even in the Oaks, like, she didn't do what she was doing in Tralee. This was much more like it. Like, that Unreal Bruiser, that dog ran really well in the unraced in Kilkenny, and it was a really impressive winner first time out. Like, he won the last race on the first night of the Red Mills with a certain BoyleSports Bob back and forth. So
yeah.
I was watching that race particularly closely, so that's how I know him. But she put him to the sword convincingly, and Yeah, if you're looking at the top bitch market in the Derby and she lines up in it, I'd say she'd be closer to the top than she will be the bottom.
Yeah, it's very rare you see anything doing 28:15 that hasn't broken 16 seconds to the third bench. Does 16:05, Barry. That just tells you how strong she is. She was so impressive, but it was really notable how strong she was galloping up that home straight.
Yeah, she wasn't stopping. She flew home. And I was very impressed with her in the first round of the Oaks, I think it was, when she came from a mile back and won 28:65, beating Crafty Shabu. So our trapping used to be her Achilles heels. I'm not going to say she's a lightning trapper now because it was still only 219 according to the section. So she will have to be going up better than that, but she's definitely strong enough. And yeah, big future.
Yeah, big future. Gentlemen, let's move our attention to across the pond because we had a Derby final to talk about and an Irish success with Graham Holland led training Gaytime Nemo to land the spoils in wonderful fashion. We spoke about value earlier in the night. I spoke to Carly Philpott on Saturday for Star Sports, one of these little clips, and I said the only dog that represented value in the final was Gaytime Nemo. I thought he should have been half the price he was. He was 10 to 1 during the week. I thought he was around a 9.25 to 1 chance, and scarcely has the Derby final been over as quick as it was. Kevin, after 5 strides, did you have any doubt what was going to win the Derby?
No, me and you spoke. It was a Saturday morning, and we were discussing it, and we both said, look, the most likely winner was Rex. If he got a reasonable start, he should lead. But I really fancy Gaytime Nemo. I thought he had a draw of all draws. It reminded me of Blake in Nottingham when the draw was made. I went from JT Taylor getting knocked out of the semi-final and being quite down and out, and then when the draw was made on the Monday, thinking we're drawn to have a great shot at this. And I felt the same with Nemo. He Cuchulainn inside him one. I never fancied him to break out one. I know people were talking about him to be in the first 3 market on Twitter. They would have collected. Romeo Command, not a particularly good trapper in my book. 4 and 5 could have come together. I thought Nemo had a brilliant draw. But regardless of what way the draw would have been, if he started like he did, a 4:08 sectional, I think he'd have won the draw wherever he was, or won the Derby wherever he was. He was brilliant. He was paw perfect, and the celebrations looked fantastic afterwards. I must give you a compliment here, Ian. I watched the race live, didn't pay much heed to it, and I watched the replay back once or twice in preparation for this, and I thought it was just my own dog's derbies that the commentaries gave me the goosebumps, but like I had no dog in that final, and the commentary, like literally the hairs on my arms and the back of my neck were standing up. Like it's just unbelievable. You're getting better at these. They really are. Like it's
frame this one, Barry. Frame this one. That's
the
compliment for the year done and dusted now.
That's it. That's it. Is that what
I don't know what Kevin's talking about because the hairs on my head weren't standing up when I listened to your commentary, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but no, look, well done to everyone. Graham Holland, what an achievement to get 3 dogs to the final. And look, you wanted them to win it then. You didn't want it to be a hard luck story at that stage. Look, hard luck to Swords Rex. It's funny, isn't it? Like, this isn't the first Derby where Ireland have been where the 2 dogs you're expecting, the Irish dogs. Like, my eyes were on the middle of the track.
All night results were strange. Dogs that you expect to come out weren't coming out. It was just one of those nights. Like, clocks were really back early on the card. It was speeding up now as the Bowser went around. It was played through the night. It was definitely getting quicker. But I think he was the only dog to break 29 seconds in the night. Gaytime Nemo 28:89. Like he produced the Derby winning display, but 4, 5, and 6 walked out. And if I told you all 3 were going to walk out, you'd say there's no chance of that.
That Derby that was a Thorn Falcon one and Clare Line, and the 2 of them came out. Like the Irish dogs Liam had a dog in it. Liam had a really good
fair one. Ballymac
one. And I don't know. It was just strange. Like it was almost like when that one happened, it was like, wow, like that's an enigma. Like that ain't going to happen again. But like the 2 Graham's dogs, 4 and 5, like they were just walked out. Like it wasn't any, like I don't think it was anything to the dogs done. Like it was just I don't know. It was just strange. But a brilliant winner and fair play.
The O'Connell family, this is the 2nd year running actually that the owner breeder is on the podium collecting the trophy, and Brendan was not letting go of the trophy. I was watching for a few minutes there, and I think I said it a few times over the tannoy that when people coming over and looking at the trophy, he was holding on to it. You could almost see him going, I'm not letting this bad boy go, and he was wearing the Inniscarra colours around his shoulders. They had but my God, they've put some work into their dogs over the years. Like, this is a homebred, the Gaytime Derval. It's their 2nd litter. The first litter were good. The 2nd litter even better. Gaytime Nemo, an English Derby winner, but it must add so much to be, like to know this dog, like to be there when the dog was born. It makes such a difference, Kevin.
Oh, it does. Like I saw them putting up pictures of I'm not sure whether it was Nemo now. It might have been Clonagh or Swords Rex, like, and they had the picture of him as a pup, and the picture then that Graham or Nicky had took of him standing just on the green before the derby. Like, it's incredible to breed one and go all the way. Like, we had Hammond last year. Like Hammond, born, reared, schooled, ran in here, twos in Kilkenny. Like, it just feels different. Like,
you were there when they finally installed the GPS into Hammond, were you?
Yeah, I spent long enough trying to put it into him, but no, look, it's incredible. Look, it's a great sport that we have, and there's a part to play for everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And well done to everyone. And look, what a story for Dave Furniture with Romeo Command as well. Like, I think for a split second, I'm sure he thought he was going back to back.
Honestly, I saw Dave after racing, and he looked as happy as a man you could possibly be for finishing second in the Derby. Like, he's chuffed with himself. Like, winner last year, second this year, and and they have a greyhound. Like, there's no question about it. Yeah. Barry, Gaytime Nemo, way and gone. From a commentating point of view, it's not always the way you want a race to go, but in terms of Ireland winning it, it was certainly the way he wanted to go. We wanted one out in front, and Gaytime Nemo was the one to do it.
Yeah, it's not after time, but like you two, I done a couple of podcasts during the week, and I did expect Swords Rex to win, but if I did mention if there was a value in the race, it was Gaytime Nemo. I had a few quid on with Ted Hegarty on Gaytime Nemo before racing at 8-1. Ted obviously wasn't paying the best odds guarantee. I only see now he's returned 9-1. So
yeah, now I will say about that 9-1, like, there wasn't a sniff of 9-1 available. That's obviously an industry SP, something to do with exchanges or whatnot, because I think this fellow has been backed at the off at 6-1. Really. I know that Ben Keith and Star Sports, someone said to me last night, like, they laid a 10,000 to 1.5 just before the off. You know what I mean? So, like, that's not 9-1 nor 8-1. I never saw 8-1 about him on the night, and I'm like, I had the best view in the house. Like, the ring is right down in front of me. You can see that. You could see it, that there wasn't a sniff of that 9-1. I actually think I wrote it in the report. So anyone that did back him SP, well, you count your.
I'm wondering is that a misprint, because I thought I saw literally before the off on the TV screen that he was backed into nearly 9-2.
Could be, Kevin.
That it was it was like 6-11.
Yeah, but it very much depends on how the exchanges are going. Like, this industry SP, as far as I can see, nobody knows how it works, and as a result, you get the odd time that it works in your favor. Swords Rex at 4-5. Romeo Command was actually second choice. Clonagh was 11-2. But yeah, the 9-1 Gaytime Nemo. Listen, congratulations to all involved. God knows where he'll go from here, whether they'll give him a little break, but you'd assume they'll take in the Irish Derby. Like, he only had the one race in Ireland prior to his English Derby challenge. So, like, this is, apart from being a brilliant performance, it's a brilliant training performance. Like, this was a dog that had a bad injury picked up early in the year, and to bring him back, and I think it was Teddy Hegarty said it to me at one point early in the competition about Gaytime Nemo. He says, I think Graham likes this dog. I think there's been a few quid for this dog. I don't think he's putting people off. He likes him now anyway. Yeah, he certainly does. He certainly does. Gaytime Nemo, English Derby champion. Has a nice ring to it for the O'Connell family, and of course the Holland family. Congratulations to all involved. Gentlemen, we need to fly. Let's move on. The Treaty Cup at Limerick on Saturday night. Cree Jo Jo winning in 1836. I was talking to Paul Carpenter ahead of racing at Towcester. I don't believe he could see the race. I don't think the streaming was working, or else he couldn't get the internet from Towcester. But he had a wonderful winner in Cree Jo Jo. Track record breaker for Owen McKenna and Paul. Lovely early speed. Obviously, his dam, Cuchulainn Chick, was an English Derby finalist. And here we are on the night of the English Derby. Cree Jo Jo, her best pup to date, landing the spoils in 1836. Looks a sprinter of some note, Kevin. You'd imagine Dundalk bound.
Oh yeah, doesn't he? Like, he's that was some run. Look, obviously Flash and Willow not being there, but the likes of Cormac Prince were in it, and he's just dynamite when he gets going. And you'd imagine straight to Dundalk now for the 400, and he's going to be a big player in it, won't he?
Yeah, you'd like to think so. Barry, did you see it?
I just seen the replay of it. I was talking to Paul Carpenter yesterday. He was of the opinion he just wonders how far he will stay. So the obvious next step is the 400, because the 400, let's be honest, it's not really.
He has 28.50 on his card for 4 bends, but I'd say it's as far as he wants to go. There's no 550 in him, and when you consider Cuchulainn Chick was so strong, wins over 575 and 600, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Obviously, they're Law Hill Blake, so loads of early dash.
Yeah, but look, it's a good testament in the 400 yards at Dundalk because I don't think it's a real sprint trick. And if you're hitting the line strong on that, you have a good chance of getting 525, maybe 550. Look at Slip the Lark. He was good down there around 400 and he almost clung on to win an Irish Derby. So look, you never know. He's still quite young enough, as I say. There's plenty of stamina on his damn side, but a huge run and well done to Paul Carpenter. He's a lovely, lovely fan.
The I think it's safe to say this was one of the best Denis Linehan Solicitors Open Unraced down at Curraheen Park. We were looking for the clash of the big two, Drewby's Flightline and Jatara. Didn't happen for Jatara. Mr. Keiki showing good speed into the opening corner to challenge, but Drewby's Flightline from trap one got first run. A fast winner. He's a hell of a greyhound, Barry. I'd say you wouldn't mind one. I like him.
No, certainly wouldn't. Yeah, he was very good. The trap draw sort of maybe won it for him, although he did show good early pace and he did it the hard way. He's clocked 28.70 on debut, 28.30, and he's improved every run since then. So he's 28.30,
he was the talking dog prior to the competition. Like, this was the dog that everyone was looking forward to seeing. Obviously word was good and he trialled very well. He's a loyal Blake out of Droopy's Curio. She was quite the star. And yeah, 28.17, as you said, this night and in the semi-finals, or was it 18 in the semi-finals?
28-28 or 28-17 is the semi-final. Yeah,
28-18, 28-17. Yeah, 28-20, 28-18, 28-17. He's going the right way.
Yeah, he's going all right. Yeah, he's going all right. But
and
yeah,
it probably drives people mental when I say this, but he's a Shelburne dog.
Yeah, that's where you got to be the star, don't you? Really, I suppose. But yeah, look, he's doing everything right. I've no doubt there's going to be a few stars who come out of that race. Shatara was a bit unlucky. He almost made it then, and I thought the dog and two, the Pastana dog ran quite well. Still clocking 28.34 after meeting a bit of trouble. So plenty of stars to come out of that race, no doubt.
Kevin, some fast greyhounds in it, no question.
Yeah, I think there's more than a few, and I think there's more than a few just not in the final as well. I think you're spot on, Ian. I think it's as good a. I wouldn't even go as far as it is as good as a Denis Linehan unraced. I think it's as good an unraced as we've seen in a long, long time. Anywhere, I really feel as though you could be talking double digits of dogs that could go on and win good competitions out of this stake. I think Jatara could be a monster when he goes to Shelburne.
Yeah, I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
I really like him. He and if like the 550s and the bother to him, just that early speed into the corner, like he's not quite a ringer for his sister or anything like his half sister, but I'll tell you one thing, he is very, very talented.
Yeah, no, I think when he goes to Shelburne, I think you'll see a different greyhound, taking nothing away from the winner. Look, I was delighted to see Alice, who's Robert's mother, down as part owner of this lad. So you knew the minute you saw this lad in Robert's mother's name, he was going to be fairly handy. But he was paw perfect throughout the competition. A little bit underwhelming, maybe in the first round, but after that, he was just absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? We didn't get the book that we all wanted to see. Jatara, unfortunately, getting into trouble at the corner. There's plenty of time to see it, whether we see it in a BoyleSports Derby this year or down the line. I'm sure these two will lock horns again. And there's plenty more in there. I think we'll go on to bigger and better things as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Sean Dunphy will have much problem selling some more Droopy's Curios in the near future. She was a star and looks like she's producing stars. There's one or two others from the litter that can really run. I know that she's a full sister to Amazing Alice, the Cesarewitch winner. She's a litter at June 22, so I can't imagine they'll be too hard to sell either. A fast family. Elsewhere on the Cork card, of course, in the year that's in it, you know what, not long after the success of Burgess Supreme, it's the Shelley Fennelly Memorial, of course, the late wife of JJ, daughter of Sheila Spillane. And it's been a wonderful competition. It's been won by Oaks champions in the past, and one or two potential, future stars in this one, and already sort of established stars. But the pace setter was up the style. Obviously, she was a real star at the back end of last year, winning the National Puppy Stakes. She took an awful tumble when we'd previously seen her, but back to something like her best here, 28.04, stunning run. She's going to be a force going forward, Kevin, you'd imagine.
Oh yeah, like when you consider, that she's 2 lengths quicker than Droopy's Flightline. Like when you put it into perspective, and like you were saying, coming off the back of a tumble, like you're always a little, especially with bitches, I think more so even with dogs, you're always a little bit nervous, whether it's left its mark or not. But yeah, unlocked, we're talking about Coulivanny Chick, like that Tom's Delight line really coming to the fore, but up the style, like it was a huge run to beat like the Ballymac Opera 7 lengths. But there's plenty of bitches in there. You know, the Scooby Duchess is still in there clocking last. Ballymac Whisper, it's a cracking rendition of the
Yeah,
Shelley Fenley.
you took my thunder there. Like there is a chance the Scooby Duchess is still improving after her seasonal rest, and so we saw her getting better and better through the Oaks. And who's to say she couldn't peak, in a couple of weeks' time when the Shelley Fenley Memorial's drawn to a conclusion. It's a cracking stake. Best of luck to everyone down at Curryhean Park in the Shelley Fenley. We'll mention it again next week. What else? I'm just trying to remember everything. Tipperary Cup. Sorry, Barry. Anything from the Shelley Fenley that caught your eye?
Yeah, Up the Style obviously was the star of the show, wasn't she? And Scooby Duchess seems to have changed her running style as well, hasn't she? She was it's hard to believe the way she's running now that she was the bitch that was picked up in an Oaks final a couple of years ago, wasn't it? She seems to be much stronger. But I thought a young bitch called Gold Cash Ice winning the first heat, picking up Ballymac Run, she was very good. She got to the final of the Puppy Oak, in Shelburne Park behind that Club Bubble. So I think she's one with the future as well.
She's an ice on fire. From what I've seen of the ice on fires, they do
Early
need
pace.
time. They need time,
Yeah.
but there's lots of pace there. Out of Paradise Asia. She's a nice type for Jack Mead and Ray Doyle. Let's mention the Tipperary Cup, Kevin, because you were on top of that. Papa Dioro set the standard.
Yeah, look, he sort of stands out a little bit, above the rest. When the draw was done, he was clearly a class act. He clearly in good form, wins in Shelburne and Clonmel and 28.67 in Thurles. Like we were talking earlier, Ian, about the 28.50 run below and in Escorty being a run. You do 28.60 odd in Thurles, you're absolutely flying. He stands out. I don't know whether there is anti-post betting on this, but he definitely would be at the forefront of the market. Like Ballyhimmock and Rex was beaten by Cabra Cronk there in 28.88. It was a good run as well. Ballyhimmock and Rex possibly might be one to take him on with, but Papa Dioro, he's flying for Pat, and if he keeps getting reasonably good starts, I think he's definitely the one to beat. That was some run the other night down there.
Yeah, I want to mention Swizz Star was a winner as well of Heat 3. He's jointly owned by Liam Cahill, of course, the Tipperary hurling manager. He's nothing else to be focusing his attention on for the next few weeks. So we might as well enjoy the Tipperary Cup. Sorry, Tipperary people. Sorry. Anyway, did you see the Dubs beat Mayo yesterday? Hey, it's nice to be involved in Dublin in I was going to say September. It's not September anymore. We're still there, baby. We're still there. How'd you like them apples, Barry?
Oh yeah, look, I loved the match yesterday. Look, I thought Mayo were right in it up until half time, but Dublin simply blew them away. But look, it's just like old dogs getting old, isn't it? You still see the likes of the Aidens O'Shea and the Killian O'Connor knocking around, and you see the Dub Stars, the Flinners, and the Bernard Brogues. They're all off doing something different. Come on, lads, you aren't going to win it. You weren't going to win it in your prime. You're not going to win it now.
I just got a text message to ask how Wexford hurling went this year there.
I don't mind them now. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. I'm a dub. I'm a dub.
Yeah.
Mind you, they were going better than Dublin hurlers, I think. Right, gentlemen. I think we've covered everything. If we forgot to mention something obvious, it's on me. It's on me. I have to say, I'm still recovering from Towcester on Saturday night. It was wonderful to see so many people there enjoying themselves. Greyhound Racing is still thriving. They put up a great show, did great work to keep Animal Rising from causing upset. They had 3 or 4 of them that sort of handcuffed themselves to the big screen earlier in the day, but they got rid of them. There was a huge police presence, great security presence, and they never really looked like causing any damage to proceedings. And great night's racing. So many Irish there. It was great to see so many smiling faces. People that I don't get to catch up with all that often because I'm always stuck up the crow's nest, and that's my embarrassing thing. You sort of meet people on the ground and like people that I've commentated on their dogs 1,000 times and you don't know what they look like. And that's just on me because, as I said, I'm stuck up in the crow's nest every night. You don't actually get to meet these people.
Ian, just before you go, I'd say the atmosphere for the Durando was something else with a space jet coming from so far behind to win. I actually called Romeo Hanzo, Kilcolgan chief, for a second, going around live in commentary, going around the first bend because Space Jet had just moved into second at the 5th bend, and I was looking, and I said, "She can't." So I'd say that was great to witness live, was it?
It was a great buzz. I must say, there was 4 or 5 races where it really did lift. It wasn't a great night for the bookmakers, as far as I know. The sponsors were carried out. So there were a few races in the night where a dog hit the front, and the cheer went up from the crowd, and it was very much a doggy crowd. Not as many as you'd say, like the derogatory term you'd use, the 6-packers. It was more a real greyhound Greyhound crowd, and you could sense that from, they were reacting at the right times in the races. And as you say, when Space Jet went second off the fifth bend, there was a fair buzz from the crowd. And at that stage, it started to get dark as well. And the way the track is lit up there, like, yes, it's all lovely and great being there on a beautiful sunny evening in Towcester, and it's a great setting. But there's nothing like a dark dog track when it's nice and dark and the lights are shining. It adds so much to the atmosphere. And Space Jet was a great way to cap off a wonderful night's racing. Of course, we didn't mention Jack Tavern Bella winning a 6-bend race for Graham Holland, the Pillar Syndicate. She was stunning. I was asked moments before the race by Andy Lismore, the racing manager at Towcester. He said, "Will this bitch stay?" To which I just responded, yes. And then Burge Khalifa winning for Chris Sauer and Brenda Matthews. And of course, they also had a double because they had won earlier on the card with As I Say. So all in all, a very successful night for the Irish in Towcester. And again, congratulations to everyone over the weekend. This week, we look forward to the final of the BoyleSports Champion Stakes, BoyleSports Champion Plate, the semi-finals of the Corn Cuchulainn, next round of the Tipperary Cup, the second round of the Shelley Fennelly Memorial. While all this is happening, there'll be moving and shaking going on. There'll be chess pieces moved around who can fit into the Time Greyhound Nutrition Dundalk International, which is a race to really look forward to, considering some of the names that have already been mentioned to that. Just more Greyhound racing that you can shake a stick out, and it all leads to the BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby in a few weeks' time. So, gentlemen, a pleasure as always. Kevin Hennessy, thank you so much indeed. Take off that gilet. You look plenty warm enough. Barry, say no more. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. That's it from us on this Monday evening. We got through an awful lot, I think you'll agree. But that's it. We'll see you next time. Good luck, good evening. God bless.